Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is Mr. Corbitt. It was written by Michael DeWolf, and it appears in Mansions of Madness. It's one of my favorite scenarios, and this will be the third time we have run it. I am the Game Master, and this is episode 4. Our recap will be given by David Gasway as his character, Peter Harrow. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. David?
Thanks, Tom. You think you know your neighbors. A quiet neighborhood like this and a quiet town like Arkham, Massachusetts. You live across the street for somebody for 10, 15 years or more and get to know their habits and comings and goings. And then, very abruptly, everything can seem wrong. For one thing, I never would have pegged Bernard Corbitt for a pagan. I mean, I haven't seen him in church, but there are plenty of churches he could have chosen. But my recent visit to his home and a sort of shrine he has there to Indian belief suggests that, well, Bernard Corbitt is not a Christian as such. And that's just the most recent little curiosity after a very strange series of events. First of all, on a perfectly normal afternoon of cards, a couple of my neighbors, trusted, reasonable people, thought that they saw him drop the severed arm of a human child as he entered his home. And that seems to have triggered some kind of psychological break in our neighbor Surveyor Leroy, who apparently had an assistant of his tried to break into Corbitt's import-export shop in town, and then Corbitt and he had a visit in Leroy's house. And shortly after Corbitt left, Surveyor Leroy tore shrieking onto the street in a state of madness, pulling his clothes off and eventually collapsing at the end of the street where he died. Jacobus has he noticed at the time that there were some peculiarities about Leroy's body, suggestions perhaps of something like an allergic reaction. And he's since found in Leroy's glass, but not Bernard Corbitt's, the residue of something like spores. Bernard has mentioned fungus. In fact, he explained the mysterious limb as a tree branch with fungus on it. So was he growing something? Poor Eugene went to try to peer in the cellar to see if there were mushroom baths and fled in a panic when Bernard drove up. We're all newly afraid of our mild-mannered, pleasant neighbor, Bernard Corbitt. And again, he explained to me just now, as I'll explain to my friends when I return to our 4th of July barbecue, that the reason he doesn't want to visit with us on holidays is because it reminds him of the holidays he spent with his wife before she died in their home in childbirth. Now he prefers to be alone on important days. And so back to the grill with me to prepare some more food. It's a pleasant July day and we're making the best of it, but there is a pall over our quiet neighborhood and many unanswered questions.
Right. And so the barbecue goes on. There are moments when you manage to forget the problems, but they're immediately followed by remembering and feeling guilty. It's all very confusing to all of you. What would you like to discuss or plan or do next?
Well, fellas, I don't know. Do any of you know anything about this Bhagavad Gita book, the Indian, some sort of Indian Hindu religious thing?
I have no idea.
His living room is like a shrine, I tell you. I mean, this painting is the strangest thing I've ever seen. The things in his shop, I think, tend more toward like pleasant carvings of elephants. And this painting is kind of gory and strange. This god with different colors and has a million limbs. And then he's got this book out to this page where the king of the gods says that, he is death incarnate and we're nothing to him. It's really, it's pretty grim for such a pleasant guy. Well, yes, Jacobus.
Do you think he believes in that God? Or it's just a fancy, like a curiosity?
I don't think he's worshipping anything, but the way he described the interesting concepts, as he said in the book, this idea that, life and death don't mean anything in this cosmos. I mean, I can see that being comforting to a man who's seen so much death. And when we were talking about the fact that you'd found something in Survey's glass, he was speculating like a mystery reader about arsenic and so on, but he didn't mention any organic compounds, like things you might grow that are poisonous, like foxglove or nightshade or anything. I don't know.
It's kind of weird. Him being someone that actually grows plants, and he should have quite a substantial amount of knowledge around things like that, or suggest.
And curiosity about that point rather than moving on to other things. You'd think that he'd be curious about, especially since I think I mentioned that there were spores. You'd think that would perk his ears right up, but on the contrary, he didn't. It seems like, there are hidden depths to our nature, and to my surprise, they might be unwholesome. I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to your getting a report from a toxicologist or an autopsy or anything from your friend at the hospital, because I really want to know whether what happened to Gervais is a strange coincidence or something to be afraid of.
Are they not vegetarians from that part of the world?
I think that there are. They don't eat cows, but I think they eat other animals.
Would I know anything about the religions from that part of the world? I know maybe the Greeks may have crossed over. Certain.
I mean, tell me what you want to know, and then do an occult roll.
Anything to do with human sacrifice, maybe?
Okay. Do an occult roll.
Probably no. 99 out of 5%.
Oh yeah, they all eat people. You have no idea.
What I know is they have
no historical evidence or anything.
Do a history.
I wouldn't know. I mean,
you are a historian.
All I know is that they possibly have different habits depending on where they are in the country, just like France, from what I remember.
No luck on that?
Nope.
Eugene, you can do a history roll if you are trying to remember something.
Yeah, I'm seeing this, but I'm not sure of it at all.
Okay. Yeah, so you're just not sure.
Perhaps there's something in the university library that could enlighten us on this particular deity that you saw in his house, Peter. Did you catch a name?
Oh, there were a few. It was Arjun talking to Vishnu. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing these things right. But the quotation that was so striking was something like, "I am become death," which, you know, even in the Old Testament, and I said this right to Bernard, you know, that's pretty harsh sounding, even for Jehovah. Certainly not, you know, the love and the light and so on. I'm going to send a clerk from the office when we're back at work to look into the records about his wife's passing, and I don't even know if a boy child or a girl child.
Sure. Well, tomorrow when I'm back at the university, I'll see if I can find some more information about this Arjuna from the library. I don't know what else I could do.
Do you think that Bernard relates to the god as seeing himself in it? I'm just thinking, has his belief or his interest in this god start prior to his father's death, post his father's death, post his wife's death, or is it something that, I mean, if he sees himself as death, the destroyer, and this is really far-fetched, but that would kind of give us a pattern. Maybe he just suppressed it until Savar triggered it again.
Well, has the business significantly changed since he took over?
No.
No?
He's maintained it very well.
So
He has a couple of employees as well, which you'd have access to.
That would be a bit extreme anyway.
Yeah, that's true. We could talk to the fellows at the shop. Stan's the salesman, and then he's got those sort of mover types. See if they've. But also maybe Survey put something in his own liquor because he's been taking something. I mean, again, he's the one who seems like crazy.
Yeah.
Are Bernard's staff American?
Yes. Arkham born, most of them.
Well, I'll drop around the university tomorrow and speak to your friend Horatio, just to get some additional feedback on what I found, and then we can take it from there, I think. Because at this stage we just speculating.
Keeper, it's pretty much, it's almost the height of the growing season, early July. How does Bernard just leave baskets of produce on our stoops? How does that usually go?
Yes, usually on sometime on Saturday. But it happens sometimes during the week. It just depends on the abundance of what he's got.
He probably supplied a bit of cob corn for today. Given
possibly he doesn't grow as much corn because it takes up a lot of room. But
a lot of
tomatoes and squash and things like that.
And he doesn't leave us any exotic produce. It's all
he doesn't have anything exotic.
Yeah.
Right. And we determined we had never seen a mushroom to date.
I don't think the growing of mushrooms was as popular in the United States yet, anyways. And you guys probably tend to leave baskets on his front porch, once the basket's finished. Your wives probably do most of this.
So I assume that the barbecue ends earlier than usual and on a more sour note.
Yeah.
Probably if Survey were alive, he'd be pouring some fresh gin at 6:30, but instead we're all sort of ready to stop being public.
All right.
I mean, damn, that's grimmer than my shop, and my shop is filled with coffins.
So sometime, so that's July 4th, Wednesday, July 4th. Or is it Tuesday? Hold on. I think it might be Tuesday. July 1st was Sunday.
Monday was the 2nd. Yeah, so it's Wednesday.
All right. So the evening winds down and you guys end up going home. Do you want to do anything tonight? Or do you want to do something and start tomorrow? We can skip ahead. You don't have to do anything.
I was thinking maybe for an hour before I go to sleep, instead of reading, which is my usual routine, I use my spyglass to keep an eye on Corbitt's
Okay.
backyard.
Do a spot hidden roll. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nope,
not 94.
You don't see the gigantic. No, I mean you don't see anything happen in the backyard.
It's rolls.
All right. So next morning comes. I don't know if you'd have the day after 4th of July. Probably not. So we'll assume you're going back. You go back to work today.
I think in the 20s it was a one-day holiday.
Right.
The university will probably be open, surely.
Yeah, sure. All right. So, Horatio, what are you going to do today?
I'll cycle in. I probably won't have any lectures myself this day, but I'll cycle in the morning.
Okay.
And head for the library, unless Jacobus wanted to come in with me. In that case,
I can join you.
I mean, if you're driving, I could catch a lift off you.
Yeah, we can arrange that.
Okay.
Should not be a problem.
So, Jacobus, you probably have an assistant that takes care of the pharmacy when you're not there.
Yeah, Jenny opens up in the mornings when I'm a little bit late.
All right. So the two of you are heading towards the university. Peter, what are you doing?
Mostly a regular day at the office, but I do send a trusted clerk off with some questions for town hall about birth and death records.
Okay. And Eugene, what are you going to do?
Well, the thing is, I'm gonna go to work first, and making coffins, as grim as it may sound.
All right. So you're just doing your work. Okay.
For now, yeah.
All right. Let's start with. We'll go ahead and do Jacobus and Horatio. So you guys head to the university, and you're going to check out. You're going to go to the library.
I'm going to head for the library, and but maybe introduce Jacobus to the chemist. Botanist.
Chemist. Okay, the botanist. All right. All right. Let's do the botanist. Botanist is Jim Jenkins. Dr. Jim Jenkins. Horatio, how are you this morning?
Not too bad, not too bad. Happy 4th of July, by the way.
Happy 4th of July too. I hope you had a good day. So what can I do for you?
I'd like to introduce you to my friend Jacobus, a good neighbor of mine.
Very nice to meet you.
Dr. Jenkins.
I believe he has some questions about
sure,
some things that maybe you could help us with.
Of course. What can I do for you?
Well, Dr. Jenkins, the thing is, I found a strange residue inside a glass, and which I would like you to have a look at, and I'll explain the whole story behind this glass and what's inside it after you've had a look. I don't want to cloud your judgment, so to speak.
Well,
if you don't mind having a look at it, to me it looks like something organic that's inside it. Maybe a spore or some kind of seed. And I would love if you can just have a squiz and maybe you can identify it if possible.
Has this been chemically analyzed? Do we have any idea what chemicals are present? Or
well, even the alcohol, there were whiskey in the glass, but I have no idea what the substance is.
So you suspect it's some kind of we'll just say a toxin or a poison of some sort. That's what we're working on. So he examines it under the microscope, and as he's looking, he's like, well, there's definitely some particulates here that are probably parts of a plant, leaf, parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's been ground like a spice, so it's I can only tell that. I can't identify what it came from. Chemical analysis might give you some indication of what toxins might be present. And if it's plant-based, there are a huge variety of plants that could be used as toxins, some more effective than others. There's plants growing in people's front yard gardens that are toxic. Some of them toxic enough to kill people. Now, the spore. I am not a mycologist, but from the shape of it, the symmetrical shape of it, I would think it's some kind of a mushroom spore. There is a doctor, Dr. Don Wells. I happen to know him. He works at the Central City Hospital. He is in the, I believe he's a surgeon, but he's also an amateur mycologist. And he would probably be able to track down possibly what mushroom this is. It's probably has. I mean, that's what mycologists do as their hobby, is they look at mushroom spores and identify them. Because once again, there's millions of them.
Yes, no, understood. Well, I think we've Horatio, we've made some progress. At least we now have confirmation that this is plant-based that's inside it. Rightly so, it could be anything. But if Dr. Wells can shed more light, then we definitely should pursue that avenue of questioning.
Indeed. Thank you for your time, Doc.
Of course. All right, so you leave him and you head over. You were going to check the library as well?
I was going to go to the library. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I haven't any lectures today. I'll be quite happy to accompany you to the hospital after I've.
Let me join you at the library.
Of course.
I can tell you this: I'm not eating anything that comes from Forward House.
I think that's a good idea.
suddenly, I'm not a vegetarian.
I don't want to think about it, Jacobus. Really.
All right. So you head over to the Miskatonic Library. What would you like to look for?
Anything to do with Aruna? Is it Aruna? Arjuna,
yes.
And
Prince Arjuna. You find a number of references fairly easily. They have a rather large library of things. Prince Arjuna is he's the protagonist in a number of Indian epics, including the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. Hard to pronounce. My guess is they probably even have copies of those in the library. And without much difficulty and cross-referencing, you can find the same passage that Peter found, that Peter saw.
I'd like to delve a little bit deeper into the collection. Maybe find, I don't know, maybe thinking sacrifice rituals or anything along those lines.
All right, do a library roll for that.
Come on, dice. It's a regular success.
During the British occupation of India, there was quite a lot of trouble they had in the mid 1800s with a cult called the Thuggee cult. It's where we get the term thug from.
Mm-hmm.
And these people now, for our listeners, I could be getting all this wrong, but I'm going by Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That there was definitely a strong worship of gods such as Kali, and a kind of take whatever you can grab sort of thing. There was murder and horrific crimes done in the name of this religion that they had, this cult. But for the most part, by the 1870s, it had been stamped out in India. So human sacrifice, you could say that it's part of the Hindu religion, except that in of itself is difficult. There is no real Hindu religion. There are literally thousands of religions, and they're all sort of lumped together and called Hinduism. But every one of them is a little different than every other one, and some of them don't harm anything. Most of them believe in reincarnation in one form or another. It's kind of a big hodgepodge of religious beliefs.
Anything specific about the destroyer? Because that was in that passage, wasn't it?
Well, they kind of, there's a general view that creation and destruction are just two sides of the same coin, that in order to create, you have to destroy. Life and death, it's all perfectly natural parts of the world. That death isn't bad. It's just the end of one life and the beginning of the next one. So yeah, destruction, creation, you have the same God with both of those things in their hands. Vishnu holds, the drums of destruction or the fire of destruction and the drums of creation in the same, person. It's just a viewpoint that everything is natural. My apologies to all of the Hindus who might be listening, because I don't know for sure. I'm making this up.
I don't know what else to look for. Anything connecting vegetable growing? I'm quite clutching at straws now.
I mean, use basic vegetable growing, the components of fertilizer. If you're looking for general things that have come up in the last few days, you don't see anything unusual there. You look up poisons, and like the biologist says, a lot of household plants are poisonous. A lot of the gardens have foxglove growing in them because they're very pretty flowers, but they're also deadly.
Nothing connecting everything together.
Well, I'll go ahead and do a luck roll, and I'll give this to you if you get it.
Ooh. Nope.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it to you.
Nope. Damn.
All right. Peter, for the moment you're playing your clerk. What information are you looking for? We'll assume your clerk knows your mind, what you're looking for. So
yeah, pretty specific directions. Specifically, the birth record for, if there is any, for Corbitt's child, and then the death report record for his wife and mom, and he's looking for who signed these things and who the witnesses are and what descriptions there are.
All right.
Presumably there was a doctor in evidence when. Right.
Okay. To sum up what you get, Corbitt's wife died in childbirth in his home. She was giving birth at home. She had a difficult pregnancy. They had hired a nurse, Miss, what was her name? Dunlap was her last name, Miss Dunlap. Corbitt was not present at the birth of his child, which was not unusual for the time period. And when he found out that his wife was giving birth, he immediately left work and went home. And when he arrived, his wife and child were dead, and the nurse herself was had some sort of seizure and was hospitalized. That's about as far as you go. The son was going to be named Theo after his grandfather. Both bodies were turned over to the hospital for examination. It was a Dr. Eric Norton who was involved, and then they were eventually turned over to the the funeral home, and were buried at St. Paul's. Was it St. Paul's? St. Paul's Cathedral, St. Paul's Church in Arkham, Catholic Church. His mother died in the Our Lady of Perpetual Help nursing home. And the Sisters of Mercy said that she seemed to just die of sadness. She'd never got over when her husband passed away. And that Mr. Corbitt, Bernard, visited her quite frequently, but they don't recall anything much beyond that. He seemed like a very nice boy. Was there anything else?
So even though she'd had a difficult pregnancy, they didn't have a doctor in attendance. They only had this nurse Dunlap.
Correct.
And did she end up at the Sisters of Mercy as well at St. Paul's?
You're talking about the nurse?
Yeah.
You don't know for sure what happened to her.
So there's no public record of her death.
There might be if you want to look and see if there's.
Yeah, I think that Mr. Hare would strap me if I didn't follow up on that question.
Why don't you do a library roll?
Wow, I haven't even gotten my dice out. How forgetful. .48 is a regular success only.
Okay. You do find this article.
Aha! Nurse hospitalized after tragic accident in patient's home. Professional nurse Mona Dunlap was committed to Central Sanatorium yesterday following an accident that took place in a patient's home. Her condition was diagnosed as serious. Nurse Dunlap was enlisted by Mr. and Mrs. Bernard Corbitt to assist with Mrs. Corbitt's confinement. She was in her early 60s and apparently suffered a stroke while attempting to deliver the Corbitt's baby unassisted. Mr. Corbitt returned home from his office on Wednesday afternoon to find Nurse Dunlap unconscious and his wife and infant son dead due to complications during childbirth. Doctors at the sanatorium said the nurse has yet to regain consciousness and it may be some time before the full extent of her injuries are known.
And that's the sanatorium, which, as you know,
is where the jackal hunts.
No, that's where they had the flood.
Oh, that's where the flood of people were moved from.
Jackal hunts around
Central Hospital?
Central Hospital.
Central Hospital and Central Sanatorium really need to work on their branding.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Mona Dunlap didn't recover, she's been moved for the flood.
That was 1911.
Yeah, that's 12 years ago, and she was in her 60s. I don't know if you last 12 years in a sanatorium in Arkham, but maybe they have records for her. That's probably a further inquiry.
Was she the midwife?
She was the nurse in attendance for the confinement, so yes, but she was probably there more long-term than just to be there for the delivery. She was probably keeping an eye on things for a period of time toward the expected date.
Sorry, I know I'm not there. I'm just wondering what do they mean by confinement?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, at 6 o'clock this evening, we'll all be meeting for drinks and cards over at Peter's house to discuss our curious and unhealthy obsession with our mild-mannered neighbor.
Horatio, did you want to go with me to the hospital to meet Dr. Wells?
Oh, well, yes. I don't want to go there on my own. Yes, I will. I'll come with you.
It doesn't seem like we're making much headway here with the books, so let's head over there.
Of course. I'm at your mercy. I left my bicycle at home.
Oh, yes. Right. Well, jump in.
Right, so you're heading over there. Eugene, do you want to do anything on your lunch break?
My lunch break, maybe getting back to home. Getting back quickly to home to spy on Mr. Corbitt's garden. I know he's not really there at this time, and potentially at first to see if there is anything wrong, something unexpected happening.
All right, so you arrive back at home around lunchtime, and you are correct, Mr. Corbitt is at work at this time, probably walking over to Maestro's to get a Subway sandwich. Nothing in the neighborhood seems out of the ordinary. All of your neighbors are out. The husbands are out. The wives are probably all home. Some of them are probably comforting Mrs. Leroy in her grief, helping her get things together for what she has to do. So you are there basically by yourself. What would you like to do?
Well, first off, making me a bit of a lunch with what we have at home, quickly, and then a type of lunch that I can eat while walking, and getting to see at the greenhouse if there is still the little knit of
The little hole
of paint out, even if it's just chance.
All right. So you walk rather casually over into Mr. Corbitt's yard. Nobody sees you. You walk around to the side that Horatio had scraped the whitewash away from the window. However, it has been re-whitewashed, if you will. What would you like to do?
Take a look at his garden, if I see anything or smell anything fishy or whatever. I mean, something that shouldn't be there from what we know of him.
Do a, we'll call it a spot hidden, but it's really a smell hidden.
Yeah. It is a 9. I'm gonna make sure if it's a critical or not. It's a critical by 4 points.
Very nice. All right. Mr. Corbitt's yard is filled with smells, mostly flowers, vegetable smells, fruit tree smells, citrus smells. There is, I guess you'd call it a fertilizer smell, garden smell. He's probably got a couple of compost heaps towards the back.
Yeah, that smell, yeah.
Those. Maybe a bit of manure smell. Does anything seem out of the ordinary? I don't know. You've got a critical. You don't know that if something smells out of the ordinary or if it's just something lingering in the back of your mind that seems too good to be true.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Everything seems too perfect. But then again, Mr. Corbitt tends to be very
it's the same. It's the same as him. He seems too good to be true, and once we know him like that, yeah. And after I watched this, now that there is no one, and I expect that there is no one, I'm gonna take a look back at what the windows, basement, because right now I should have more time and more, that kind of stuff to work or to see it again.
Okay. Yeah.
Now that it's better.
All right. So you go back over to the low windows for the basement. Are you looking on the right side or the left side? There was, I think you looked at both sides last time, didn't you?
I think it was just
you saw the
left side,
machine?
just the left side last time. Yeah. So I'm gonna start with the dice, deciding by name. So it's gonna be the left once again.
Okay. On the left side, that's the same side as last time. You still see like a washing machine and utilities mostly in there. Some storage cabinets.
Utilities.
And some boxes and things, old furniture. But you do a spot hidden.
28, which makes it hard.
Hard. Okay. You can tell that this side of the basement is separated from the other side of the basement.
Okay.
You can see that there is a shape that would indicate the stairs coming down from inside the house. So imagine a big rectangle, but the stairs kind of cut the room in half. So you can only see on this side of the basement. You'd have to go to the other side of the house to see the other side of the basement. You can also see the doors leading to the stairs. You know, and but you don't see anything unusual.
Okay, so it's more of a living kind of place that serves as a utilitarian purposes kind of deal?
Well, it's a basement. It's just a divided basement,
utilitarian one.
Divided into rooms, yeah.
And then I'm gonna go to the other side since I technically have the time now.
Okay. Do a luck roll.
25, so I guess it passes. It's not a hard.
Okay, but it passed. All right, so you go over to the other side and you sort of hunker down and you look, and your eyes need to kind of adjust, you know, to the darkness. And just as you hunker down and start to move your face forward to the glass, you see something inside there moves very quickly and suddenly. You hear it hit what sounds like a metal table and the floor, and it's disappeared somewhere in the room. You're thinking, was it like you might have seen dark hair? You're thinking maybe a cat. Did Mr. Corbitt have a cat? Not that you're aware of, not that you've ever seen, but something definitely moved. And now as your eyes get more used to this room seems to be set up like a laboratory. There is definitely some lab equipment, some chemical identification stuff. He does say that he's been working on his formulas for fertilizer. This might be where he does it. But do a knowledge roll.
Okay. 42, as I remember, I think it's a pass, but not a hard.
Okay. There seems to be more equipment than you would need in here for fertilizer analysis.
Okay.
You know, there's almost a medical look to some of this equipment in here.
Okay. Well, I think that's enough information for today. And with that thing moving, I don't know what it is, getting back to work.
Okay. All right, so you head back to work. Jacobus and Horatio, you are heading over to the central hospital. You get to the front door, and when you go in, the place is busy, and there is at least one guard, if you will, that's monitoring whether people go through the door into the actual working parts of the hospital or not. And there's a reception desk, obviously, with nurses behind it. Yes, what can I help you?
Sorry, Horatio, you can go.
Well, I was going to say something out of character. Despite my nervous disposition, I have a certain nervous charm.
Well, I can see you interested here. I'll let you speak.
Yes, we'd like to, if he's not too busy, speak to Dr. Wells?
Dr. Don Wells. Let me see what his schedule is. Hold on just a moment. It looks like he is free. He has surgery in 2 hours. You might find him up on the 5th floor in the D wing. You can go up there and inquire. Let me give you guest passes or badges.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Horatio, I just had a thought. So I'll say this as we walk away from the desk. If we have guards on duty, just thinking of it, we should be able to track that orderly or find out what day of the week he's at the hospital, or at least what he does here. So remind me when we step out that I quickly ask that one of the security people.
Yes,
just out of interest.
I can't remember his name, but I think I know the individual.
Yeah, it'll come to me as we step out. Just remind me so that I keep that.
Do an intelligence roll if you want to try to remember.
I've got his name. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Okay. All right. So you're going to head up to the 5th floor?
Yeah. Well, while we're traveling, what are they busy doing, these people?
Well, as you recall,
It's flooded.
because the sanitarium is flooded. They've transferred all the mental patients over here. So it's kind of doubled them up. They've got, a lot of the beds are occupied. They've got just people on double duty. They look busy.
They're open wards here.
Yeah, most of the hospitals. This hospital takes care of all of Arkham, but Arkham's there's enough people here. That's not unusual. It's university town.
I think they exploded.
And you're not going into any of the mental areas. They've got those cordoned off. All right, so you get up to the 5th floor. You head over towards D wing. And there's a nurse receptionist there. And she asks you to have a seat, and she will page the doctor. Do a spot hidden for me. Both of you.
My dice tonight.
The nurse reminds me of Jenny. I didn't see anything else.
Okay. After a few minutes, a gentleman comes out. He's surprisingly short, a little plump, balding head, dark hair around the sides. He comes out and he's like, yes, can I help you? You wanted to see me? I'm Dr. Wells, sorry.
Dr. Wells, Professor Hornigold, Miskatonic, and this is my colleague, Jacobus van der Walt.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
If you're not too busy, we'd like to, we have some professional questions to put to you.
All right. Do you want to come to my office?
Yes, please.
All right. So you walk down the hall and you go into his office. It's a nice little office. And there's everything there to indicate that he's a surgeon. But you start immediately looking around. You do see there's quite a few books on mushrooms.
Well, Dr. Wells, we've been referred to by Dr. Jenkins from the university.
Jenkins, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he said that, or indicated that you might be able to shed a little bit more light on a question that we have. We found the strange residue in a glass. It's actually a sad incident in our neighborhood. One of our neighbors died, and we suspect that he may have ingested something that didn't sit well with him. in any case, I've brought the glass along with some of the residue that we found inside it. We now determined that it's organic, but we found this trace spore element in it, in organic matter, and Dr. Jenkins suggested that you may be able to help us identify that.
Oh, well, maybe. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of mushrooms, but well, let's take a look at it. Let's get up with my microscope and have a look. Well, now this is extremely interesting. It does look like a mushroom spore. But there are some oddities that I don't believe I've ever seen before. He gets down books, and for 15 minutes or so, he starts thumbing through books, and you can see he's got meticulous little hand drawings of the shape of these things. They all look like little alien pods with various protrusions and shapes, and I'm at a loss. This doesn't seem to fall into any classification that I'm familiar with, and I'm pretty familiar with these. I'm perhaps making the assumption that this comes from somewhere locally, but I don't know of any mushroom spore that this matches.
Well, actually, Dr. Wells, we do suspect that it may come from further afield, perhaps India or thereabouts.
Well, that would present a problem. That's something that I would be very interested in, perhaps. And he makes himself a sketch of the spore, and he takes some measurements with a loop and says, I can do further research. This might take quite a while for me to uncover. If we're talking about European and Asian, we're talking millions of different possibilities. This might be a puzzle that could take me years to solve, but it's an interesting one. Have you had any of this chemically analyzed to see if there's any toxins?
No, we have not as yet done that. I don't have the enough resources at my own sort of pharmacy to go into that.
Let's I'm familiar with some toxins that are mushroom toxins. Let's go do an analysis. Let's walk down to the lab. I still have 45 minutes or so before I have to prep for surgery. Let's see what we can get done.
Yeah, sounds good.
Most kind.
So you go down, you're still on the 5th floor. You go down the hall, you step into a lab, and as you step into the lab, there is a young man who is just sort of finishing up cleaning. He's finishing up mopping the floor. Do a spot hidden for me.
Regular. I'm actually looking at his name tag.
It's R. Thomasowski.
Mm.
You can see that he has tattoos on his arms, which he has tried to cover up, by wearing his clothes. He looks like he could be an unsavory character, except that he's in the orderly's uniform and working in the hospital. But he looks like he may have had a rough childhood, just from the looks of him.
I surreptitiously elbow Jacobus just in case he hasn't noticed.
Yeah, Rachel, yes.
That's the orderly that you wanted me to remind you of.
Now look, sort of glance at his name tag.
Yeah.
Yes, that. Yes, that's
him. So the doctor starts to fiddle with stuff.
Do I notice any particular design on his tattoos?
You're pretty sure one of them is a naked woman. Although it's, like I say, it's partly covered up, but you can use your imagination.
I immediately blush.
He doesn't look like he's got sailor tattoos. Do another spot hidden.
Does he have his
Hard.
jewelry? I remember.
That's actually what Horatio was just looking. Horatio, you do notice that he is wearing, excuse me, he's wearing some sort of pendant around his neck. You can only tell this because you can sort of see the flash of chain right here and a little bit of a shape, but the shirt has got it covered up, but you're pretty sure it's round.
What's he doing at the moment? Is he mopping the floor?
He's just finishing up mopping. Yeah. So the doctor is looking, and he's looking a bit baffled. Well, I don't see any psilocybin. I don't see any I can't remember the name of it. It's phallicin or anything like that, which would be as a deadly poison. There are some chemical compounds in here that I can't identify, and I have no idea whether they're hallucinogenic or not. I suppose the only way to tell for sure would be to test it, but
Oh, please don't do.
I'm not willing to do that. And he tells you a few stories about the things that mushrooms can do. And you think that this, in some way, I mean, you say that he went out into the street tearing on. It must have been an extremely powerful hallucinogen, and I can't think of what kind of hallucinogen could produce something like that. And I want you both to do spot hiddens.
I'm also, do you think it's a possibility that it could come from India? And as I say that, I glance over to Tomatsky, whatever his name is.
Tomaszowski.
That's a regular.
Got a hard.
Okay. Well, you've both noticed that definitely his ears perked up when the doctor started talking about hallucinogens. India didn't really do anything, but the whole drug aspect of drugging somebody so that they're seeing something and acting crazy, Tomaszowski definitely is displaying some kind of interest and nervousness, and he's finishing up quickly so that he can.
Tell me, doctor, to manufacture something like this compound, what kind of instrumentation would you need? What resources should you have available to yourself?
Well, from the microscope, I'd say something here has been ground up, but and there's various means of doing that. And good old mortar and pestle. You're a pharmacist. You probably still use mortar and pestle for half the things that you give to people. Tomaszowski is getting ready to leave the room, but he keeps glancing back into your guys' direction, looking rather nervous.
I was hoping, Dr. Wells, that you might be able to point us in the direction of maybe obtaining a proper sample of this particular substance. But I'm afraid our efforts we're at a loss now. But I don't want to take too much more of your time, Doctor. I understand that you're a busy man.
You've left me, though, with a mystery that I like to at least attempt to solve. It's just going to take some time.
You're welcome to keep chipping at this.
By all means.
I think we've got enough information at this stage.
Well, if you give me your contact information and so forth, I'll keep in touch.
I'll give him my card that directs him to the university if he wants to contact me.
Okay. Your mama. All right. So the two finish up, and just a couple of moments before you guys finish up and get ready to leave, Tomaszowski leaves the room, pushing the water bucket and the mop.
I would like to follow him. I think step outside the room. If we picked up that he showed some interest in recreational drugs or just drugging, even if it's personal, someone else, maybe worthwhile talking to him.
I'm hoping we've given him enough bait to approach us if he believes that we're after certain substances.
All right. So there is a moment that you are stepping towards the door of the lab to leave it. Tomaszowski stepped into the hallway. And as you go, you catch him looking back in your direction, and he starts moving faster.
Away from us?
Away from you. Yeah. Do you continue to follow him?
Yeah, I'll just motion to Horatio and pull you by the elbows to follow him.
Is he heading?
Just see where this goes.
Does it look like he's heading towards the exit or further into the hospital?
You're on the 5th floor, so he's just heading towards other parts of the hospital.
Okay, let's see where he goes.
But you definitely get the impression that he's trying
to evade us.
To evade you.
Yeah.
I just can't remember where my friend's offices are. He said it's also somewhere. I can't remember if it's 5th or 4th. So do you mind if we just wander a little bit? And so if anyone is looking or listening, and then we'll keep on following Tomaszewski.
All right. You're saying that loud enough where you think?
Yeah.
Okay. You definitely see him duck into a room on the side.
Does the room have a name tag or
just a number?
Just a number.
352 or something.
Does he leave the door open or does he close it?
You think that he just went inside and he's going to wait until you pass.
Is there a window in the door?
He didn't close the door, so he's just inside the room. The door is open.
Right, so I'll walk closer and knock on the door. John, and then step in.
Okay. There is a moment when you do that, and he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be in here."
I do apologize. I thought this was John's. I can't remember John's surname. My friend's office. I do apologize. Didn't we see you in the lab down there?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
I'll reach out and
this isn't the place you're looking for.
I'll reach out my hand to shake his hand.
And he looks at you like, I'm an orderly. My hands are dirty. You don't want to shake my hand.
Oh yes, sure. That's true.
Does he have an accent?
No. Boston accent. Yes. Anyway, I gotta clean this room. So I'm working.
Oh, my apologies. Didn't want to impose on you.
Is there another exit to this room that he's in?
There is not.
Please don't let us stop you from your work, sir.
Maybe it's that way. Or maybe we should go to the 4th floor. I'll say to Raisha, and then as we walk away, he did seem rather interested in our discussion with Dr. Wells.
There was definitely a look of nervousness in his eyes.
Jake Jacobus, are you a large built man?
No. Average.
I'm not. I haven't got the cut for this.
Amazowski's not a big guy either.
But he's got tattoos.
He's a punk.
I don't know why people paint themselves like that. Raish, you know what? I think we may, if we're looking for something that some kind of drug component, it may be worth our while to just see where Mr. Tomazinski, where he lives and who he speaks to. Got a gut feel that there might be something there.
Well, he's definitely nervous about something.
Let me ask you a question. When you walked out the door, did you continue on the way you were going, or did you walk back in the other direction?
Depends. I think we would head
whatever direction we go. I'd like to still keep sight of the door of the room that he went into, if that helps.
Well, we'll probably. Well,
then I'll put it this way. When you leave the door and go, there's only maybe 30 seconds or so before you see Tomaszowski poke his head out and look around. And if he sees you, he's then going to go the other direction down the hall. Still pushing his mop bucket. And he's going rather quickly this time.
Can I?
I mean, he's acting odd, but not odd enough to really act on it.
I wonder if I could engage him in a conversation about tattoos, on the surmise that pirates have tattoos, and I know a bit about pirates.
Does he seem like someone that makes small talk? Right.
I don't think I'm going to get past his nervousness, to be honest.
You know what we could do is we could probably find out from his duty roster where he lives. Or his employment record or something like that.
Let's put his mind at rest and not follow him. And I don't really want to get into a physical confrontation with him. That's for sure. Let's be on our way.
You don't follow him. Okay.
No.
So he gets down to the end of the hall and turns the corner, and you don't see him after that.
Too much of a coward.
And so what's next? You're going to go down the elevator?
Yeah, going downstairs, elevator. And I think before we leave, I'll stop at one of the security people downstairs and say, my good fellow, I'm looking for a Tomazinski. Randolph Tomasinski. Do you know if he's here today?
I believe he's working on the 5th floor.
Is it? You don't know where he lives.
Oh, I mean, there's records, but I don't think we're at liberty to give those out.
I just thought maybe you might know.
It's probably in the phone book.
That's actually a good suggestion. We could have a look there, Rach, and then we can send the flowers there. I mean, he did such a good job on poor mum. Thank you so much.
He did. Whoa, hold on. You're talking about Randolph Tomasowski?
Yes. My mum was in the hospital end of last week, and he gave he was like the gentleman himself.
That doesn't sound like Randolph Tomasowski. I mean,
really?
Are you guys family? Because
not with Tomasinski. No.
Look, Tomasowski he works here. He's barely on probation.
Really?
He is not good with authority. He's been reprimanded a number of times. But visiting somebody and bringing them flowers is not sound. Maybe you've got the wrong person.
What possibly could he have been reprimanded for?
The kid's a punk. I don't know how he got the job, but
Mum said he had the loveliest painted arms. That did sound a little bit odd.
Well, he's got tattoos.
But apparently he was kind and courteous and
courteous. He's got a foul mouth. He's very irreligious.
Well, we'd like to despite your assumptions on his personality, we'd still like to thank him. Perhaps.
Well, he's up on the 5th floor. I'm sure he's working. He's not scheduled to get off until 6 p.m.
Isn't that where Dr. Wells is? The 5th floor. We've just come from there. I don't think we saw him.
Well, he's probably in a room cleaning. They give the orderlies all the worst jobs.
Can I?
You know what, Horatio? We could. Sorry, no.
Can I apply some of my nervous charm on the security guard to give us a bit more information about him?
Sure. You got to tell me what you're trying to find out.
Well, if we don't, I mean, we're rather busy ourselves, and we don't want to interrupt his work schedule.
Actually, I'll just for the sake of brevity, I'll tell you that he doesn't really have much more information than that. He can tell you that the kid lives alone in an apartment.
Where he doesn't know where, and he hasn't got access to records.
He doesn't really. Well, he does, but he can't give those out. He's just a security guard. But like he said, the phone book's probably got his address.
Sure. Okay.
You know what, Horatio? We can always drop by at 6 p.m. Or maybe, we can even just give the do
you know what time he finishes work?
6 p.m.
6. Okay.
We can do that.
Does he drive? Do you know if he drives?
I don't believe so.
So he walks.
I don't think he can afford a car. Orderlies don't make that much money.
Perhaps we could come back and... Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Peter, what are you up to? Time.
So, I'm trying to get work done in the afternoon, but this creepy story that the clerk brought back, I was actually wondering about this. I suppose he just wrote notes in shorthand because there was no way to make a photostat of these articles in 1923. I just don't think there's any way to, so I would just have to count on him getting as much data as possible from them.
I think that we looked this up once before. And I think that the mimeograph is in the 1800s.
What about that? The blue paper that you write on.
Carbon paper.
Carbon paper. That's it. Yeah.
Right, but there wouldn't be you'd need to type everything up for that. But mimeograph is a possibility, especially a town clerk's office.
Depending on how you're using it, it's not necessarily this. My mom used carbon paper, and yeah, it can be used to copy stuff. So it depends.
Well, regardless, the clerk will have provided me with all the information that we have, either in a directly photostated device or by hand.
Right, or you just wrote it, copied it
out. So I suppose, distracted from my appropriate labor, and knowing that the central sanatorium has been emptied into the central hospital, I'll call there and see if there's a Mona Dunlap in residence.
Okay. You call there and you are informed that Mona Dunlap passed away a couple of years ago.
That makes sense. Is there a record of any kin she left?
No.
Okay, thanks. That's the only lead I have right now, and I think until I catch up with the fellows.
Okay. Now, Jacobus and Horatio, you guys are at the university, or you're leaving the university. No, you're at the hospital, sorry. You're not that far from downtown. So in theory, you guys could all meet up at lunch, because none of that would have taken that long in the morning, somewhere in town.
Yes, sounds like a good idea. I'd like to, at some point, also drop by the pharmacy to see if the detective has sort of looked for me.
Maybe if I can,
he was going to phone.
Maybe if I can kill a few birds with one stone here and phone Peter and Eugene to arrange to meet up for lunch, and at the same time check the phone book.
The phone book
for Tomaski's.
You do find Randolph Tomasowski, our Tomasowski's address.
Okay, take a note of that.
All right, and we'll say that you all meet up for lunch. But you don't go to Maestro's because you're afraid Mr. Corbitt might be there having his lunch.
Yeah, we've run into Corbitt at Maestro's before. Let's get takeout sandwiches and take them to Eugene's workshop.
Okay.
There'll be no one there to overhear anything. Smell of sawdust is pleasant.
As long as the coffins are empty, I'll be okay with that.
You don't fill them yourself, Eugene, right? You just deliver them to the
I just deliver them, I guess.
Sorry. All right. So you are all together at Eugene's, having sandwiches.
How do you go about measuring these things now? Can stand next to one and try and... Are they roomy enough?
Please, Jacobus, don't tempt fate.
Well...
Yeah, sorry, Horatio.
It's 2 days. It's, I spent luck in years in France just learning this with Monsieur Chappelle. So, with other stuff, of course, not just coffins.
Do you find that certain wood allows for quicker or slower decomposition of the body? Oh, that's so morbid. No, forget I asked that.
Thank you,
talking about the grim notes, I found something by spending my lunchtime at the, close to my home, you see what I mean. First off, the garden of Mr. Corbitt is perfect to be true.
It's Corbitt, all right.
Secondly, well, the left side of his below his house, to say the least, is mostly utilitarian stuff, washing machines, nothing out of a
We watched you
profound
peek at the
interest.
window.
And the other side, the right side, there's something living in there.
What?
Live in.
Living, yes. I don't
Can't
know
be.
what is, but it looks like a cat from what I gathered.
There's no way that Corbitt has a cat. We've talked about pets with him.
Yes, he doesn't have.
And,
I remember.
a cat would, do damage in the garden and chase his frogs off.
That's just what I saw. And you remember that he's doing fertilizer and stuff like this?
Yeah.
He has a lot more laboratory stuff than that. Medical stuff and also more.
Are you sure? Are you sure it was a cat you saw? I mean, could it
I'm
have
not
been?
sure. All I know is it was living and kicking, to say the least.
Could it have been a frog? Maybe one of the frogs from his
frog.
Well, he has. Could have got in.
It's what I saw was much larger than a frog.
Oh, I wonder what it could be.
Much larger, and also it was, from what I saw, covered in black hair, something like this.
Definitely not a
So
frog.
a frog with hair.
No.
You have to smoke some really good stuff to see the kind of stuff.
And it's a living thing because of what? Was it in a cage?
It moved. Simply.
So you saw some dark hair move in his basement workshop.
Yeah. That's all I know. But, that's still something.
Well, I'll fill the lads in about what I know. And if there's something in, my fear is that, well, if the nurse saw something that caused her to have a seizure or consumed something that caused her to have an attack, and then she was not competent for the birth, and that's why his wife and would have been son died, then he'd have a great deal of guilt about that.
Wouldn't she have been under someone's care in the sanitarium? I mean, wouldn't they have done some observation on her? I mean, was she catatonic?
Oh yeah,
until her death?
I bet any records of what her care was like would have been flooded out. But we can see if anything survived.
Maybe there's a doctor we can speak to. Maybe some personnel that might have known her.
Any family? Did she have any family?
None on record. And again, she was institutionalized 12 years ago. It's quite a while. And spores.
Well, so I'll fill everyone in terms of what we heard from Dr. Jenkins, Dr. Welsh, and then we'll mention Tomaziski as well. We finally saw the jackal, I guess. And I'll.
He overheard our questions. He overheard our questions about the spore, which is most definitely fungus, from Dr. Wells, and he was very nervous and tried to evade us. I've managed to find his address in the phone book, and I know that he finishes work at 6 this evening.
I wonder how the security is on the sort of apartment on the wrong side of town a fellow like that would have.
What type of area is the address?
It's not the best area.
I'd be very surprised if there was any security there at all.
Well, I'm not going to suggest that you pull a survey, but it might be interesting to see what the fellow has in his place, although I guess the police probably did that. Have you told Whitfield about the spores?
No, I haven't had a chance to speak to him yet. He did say that he is going to phone. I'll check in with Jenny to see if there are any messages. And I think I'll give him a ring.
The most important fact is that Dr. Wells, being although an amateur, still an expert in mushrooms and fungus, didn't recognize this particular species. May take some time before he gets to the bottom of it, but
as if it came from someplace far away.
Well,
it's
yes,
not definitely local.
Definitely not.
And this all could, of course, start with something, quite innocent when you think about it. Many kinds of plants and animals have been shipped inadvertently with other goods over the years. Perhaps something got into Bernard's house in an old Indian vase or something, and is affecting his behavior. And
very good point, Peter. Very good point. But it all compounds the mystery, don't you think?
Well, I certainly want to see if there's anything running around in his basement, because he doesn't have a dog, he doesn't have a cat.
So what do we know? We know that Bernard is definitely capable of growing something potentially like this. He's got the means. Well, he's got the equipment by the sounds of it. He's got the means to import something like this, potentially. He's got the facilities to grow it in his greenhouse.
As a knowledge, probably.
Maybe we should take up his offer and ask him to show us what's in there. But I don't feel comfortable saying, "Hey, Mr. Corbitt, please show us your greenhouse. We suspect you of murder." I don't know.
I offered him something like this recently. I'm taking this from scraps and doing this with with a bit of paint. It's not as fine as what I'm doing usually, but he liked it. Potentially, I should be the one to ask him this.
If you feel up to it.
Peter, could you be a bit more, just fill me in on the details of Corbitt's wife's death?
She and their son died. The description in the paper is complications during childbirth, so nothing unusual. And they know it's a boy, so they must have, they recovered the infant. She was young, I think 23. She had a difficult pregnancy. So she, they had a nurse in to care for her. And at some point, when the birth was imminent, the nurse called Bernard, and when he got home, it's reported that he found the nurse having had some kind of seizure and his wife and child dead.
And the doctor that diagnosed the cause of death? Do you have his name?
I'm assuming it's the city medical examiner at the time.
Did I give you
the
Dr.
newspaper
Eric?
didn't have a name, but
your clerk went out looking. Was it Eric Norton?
Oh, Eric Norton.
Dr.
Yeah.
Eric Norton.
Is he still? Would he be available to question? Maybe
it's worth inquiring after. Yeah.
He might. Oh, he did the examination of the body.
You
may know on whose care the nurse went. Miss Dunlop?
I mean,
Mona
yeah.
Dunlop.
Do me a favor and describe the shop. And what are you guys sitting at a table in the shop?
Logically, in a French-oriented shop, wood shop in general, there wouldn't be any chairs, so there would be
Coffins.
yeah, coffins, because it's the main thing about my business. But there would be a small part with small sculptures, like like I
Right.
said before, small stuff. A few work tables. I mean, straight to the point. No real luxury in it.
Okay. Well, from where you guys are, Eugene, can you guys see outside?
There needs to be windows, ways of making air to circulate in it. So logically, yes.
Just to clarify, is your workshop in town or in your house?
It's in town.
Down.
In town.
Important
Right.
to separate the two, yeah.
Do everybody do spot hiddens as you guys are talking. This is just sort of casual observation.
29. Does that make it hard? I don't remember. It makes it hard for me.
Nothing from me.
84.
Eugene, do you have a telephone book?
Hard.
That should be logically Maria who has it and not me, since she's the one in charge of the phone. You know how bad of a salesman I am.
So you everybody has a phone book. They give them out.
Well, she should be the one who has it,
Right.
not me.
Jacobus. You guys are sitting there talking, and Jacobus, your eyes just sort of are. You're talking, and you're just sort of glancing around, and your eyes focus outside in the street through a window, and at first you're not sure, but then suddenly you realize that Randolph Tomaszowski, since this is lunchtime, he is moving rather rapidly past this shop, probably heading towards where he lives. He's walking very, very briskly.
I'll move to the door.
Okay.
And kind of just out of the conversation, just move to the door to see, or the window to see where he's going.
He's moving down the street as if he is in a big hurry to get somewhere.
Ratio, have a look at this. This is, remember Tomaszowski from the hospital? Isn't that him?
Why,
Point
yes.
out the window.
You don't think he followed us, do you?
I don't know. It seems like it, and I'll actually look up the other side of the street.
Now that you know where he lives, this is probably the way he walks home. Only now he's in a hurry. It just happens to be he's walking through the middle of town.
Little question. If he keeps on going in that direction, will he be able to go to Corbitt's house?
No.
Okay.
Different direction. He's not going towards uptown, which would be the rich people's area.
Okay.
Anyone interested in following this guy?
Well, he saw the two of you already and acted scared. Eugene, do you want to, he doesn't know us. We could just make sure he's headed home.
I was thinking about going to Corbitt's place before he gets home. Because if that thing I saw in his basement can talk for whatever reason, that could become a problem. So I prefer asking him first about to see his plans before it, because if that opportunity comes off for me, I prefer not taking my chances here.
You're talking about Corbitt.
I prefer securizing that information before doing it. It may be overthinking, but you know me.
Well, what time does Corbitt normally get back from work?
5:15.
And it's lunchtime now, isn't it? So we've got time. We have time.
I'm going to lose sight of Tomaszewski if I don't move. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to wrap the wax paper on my sandwich and tuck it under my arm and hustle out.
Okay.
Keep him in sight at a distance.
I don't think Peter should go on his own. I think.
No, I don't think so either. Right,
I mean,
if you don't want to go...
The three of you should be enough. I mean, it's just, logically, it's just one man. Logically.
Well, he could be armed. I mean, he has tattoos.
While you two decide, I'll follow Peter. Gentlemen,
Okay.
I'll see you later.
Just in case there is this kind of stuff in my business.
That's what he makes coffins with. Yeah. It's his coffin knife.
I'll take a second, sort of yes, and I'll take something and tuck it into my jacket.
Okay. So Peter's going. He's maybe 20 feet ahead of you. Jacobus, you're going. Horatio, are you going to follow as well?
I'm going with Jacobus. Yes.
Okay. So you and Jacobus are together. And Eugene, what are you going to do?
I was going back to our place to be sure to talk to Corbitt before he gets in his house, to ask him about going into his greenhouse.
Okay. You know, though, of course, you've got 4 hours before Corbitt's getting home. I mean, you don't have to go now.
4 hours. Oh yeah, 4 hours. So yeah, I'm gonna go with them, but making sure to get
you
back
just want to be there before
1 hour before, just to be absolutely sure.
Okay, but you're gonna follow these 4 or these 3?
Yeah.
All right.
If the time gets too close, I'm gonna get back to it. And,
All right. So, do you guys catch up to Peter?
I think we'll keep a bit of a distance.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, he knows me and Jacobus by sight, so maybe keep a discreet distance away from Peter while Peter's following Thomas.
Okay. You see, I'm going to have you all do. I don't think stealth is necessary because it looks like Randolph is not paying attention. He's moving rather swiftly. There's moments when he's almost broken into a run, not a really fast run, but it's like he knows he has a limited time for his lunch, and he is very definitely heading towards his home. You guys manage to stay behind him far enough back to where he doesn't see, and as he turns a corner and you guys catch up, you see him going into a tenement building that's about 6 stories high. You're not sure which room he's in.
Does this tally up with the address I have of him?
Yes.
Okay.
But there will definitely be a listing, on the mailboxes or whatever. Are you guys going to go in?
Was he carrying anything?
No.
And he's dressed as an orderly still? He didn't change? He's
Correct.
got on like white top and bottom?
Correct.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And barehanded. I think we should wait and see what he comes out with. If he's in such an he's either going home to hide something. Like, you guys didn't talk to him really at all? And he's this freaked out. It's so urgent.
He was definitely nervous. He was definitely evasive.
Yeah, you just overheard the conversation with Dr. Wells about the drug.
Definitely acting suspicious.
I guess
More than suspicious.
if he's trying to destroy evidence, he'll just flush it in the toilet down the hall. Maybe I should follow him in. I'm trying to think of a lie.
If he wanted to destroy evidence, he could have done it at the hospital.
Well, unless it was something in his home that he's come to get rid of.
That makes sense, yeah.
Presumably drugs that are mind-altering, since that's the conversation that made him so alarmed.
I look around. Is there a policeman around?
Do a luck roll.
Well, you could always tell Peter. You could always tell him that he's come into some kind of inheritance.
99.
Did you want there to be a policeman around?
Did you want there to be an earthquake?
I did. To be honest, I did want to.
Then there's not
the option of a policeman.
Yeah, there's no policeman around this neighborhood.
Okay, I'm a lawyer with a card. I'm going to go into the lobby and see what his apartment number is.
Okay.
And
Well, I can tell you that, Peter. It's apartment number. I have his address.
You don't know what room he's in because they just put it in the.
It's just a building.
Tomaszowski box.
Okay.
But yeah, you see Tomaszowski's box. It's 501, so he's on the 5th floor, room number 1.
Okay.
Is there a fire exit?
Go with you if you want.
So there's a back way out.
You can see that the fire exits come to the windows at the end of each what would be probably a central hallway on each level.
Maybe Ratio, you and me, we should stay outside. Eugene, you can take this, and I'll hand him back the implement. You'll probably have a better use of this than me if something goes.
So
perhaps
Peter's
me and
back.
Jacobus can wait round the back in case he tries to escape the back way.
Yeah.
So Peter, as you go into the building and you're looking at this, you can hear somebody going up the stairs. There's no elevator. It's
right.
You hear their wooden stairs going up. You can also hear maybe a baby crying here and a couple fighting in their apartment over there, or whatever's going on during the day.
Somebody's really enjoying the radio and Fat 201.
So you know it's on 501. You heading up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting some air in now before I go up 5 flights of tenement stairs.
All right. You're in good health. So up you go. Takes you only a minute or two to get up the 5 flights. The tenement building itself, has its smells. But, this is 1920s. You're used to that sort of thing. So, all right. So you get there and you can see that his room is the first room. It's actually the farthest room from the window and the escape.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mr. Tomaszewski.
You knock on the door, and for a moment there's no answer, and you hear, "What? Who is that?"
Is this the residence of Randall Tomaszewski?
Who wants to know?
The name's Harrow, Peter Harrow. I'm an attorney. There's important papers that I need to present you with.
You start to hear some moving around. Go away, he yells. I'm not interested in your salesmanship.
Oh, Mr. Tomaszewski, I assure you, I don't have any bad news. I know you've had some unfortunate press recently, and I know that your employment at the hospital is uncertain. I think you'd like to hear what I have to say.
do a couple of things for me. Do a spot hidden, which is really smell hidden.
Okay.
47 is barely
No,
a
this
success.
is just Peter. And also do a listen roll.
What's my listen?
For the listen.
Oh, it's a little better. Oh, 12.
Okay.
So it's
Peter, you smell something weird, almost exotic, like something maybe you smelled in a fancy shop, or a like
incense, like
incense. Yeah, like incense. And you can hear Tomaszowski muttering something as if he's talking to somebody. Pleading. It sounds like pleading.
I'm sorry, I don't have any Polish, Mr. Tomaszewski. You have to speak English. Why don't you just open the door? It should only take a minute of your time.
Get the fuck out of here, he yells.
Wow. It's very uncivil, Mr. Tomaszewski. You shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. What's that smell?
I'm going to whisper to you, tell him it's about imports.
Okay. Eugene, did you go upstairs?
Yeah, I did go upstairs with him.
Okay, because the other two stayed outside.
Yeah.
I didn't know you went upstairs with him. Okay.
Maybe I didn't talk it loudly enough.
Okay.
Potentially.
Horatio and Jacobus.
I had the impression that Eugene was a little, maybe 5 steps behind Peter.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that. All right, you, Horatio and Jacobus, you guys are outside watching
Around
the building.
At the back.
Right. Do a spot hidden for me.
Fuck's sake.
That is a pass.
Okay. Jacobus, you look up at the building and you suddenly see a window on the 5th floor where there is no fire escape. You see the window open and you see Tomaszowski. He's come to the window and he's looking like he's going to try and climb out the window.
My donor. Horatio, is that Tomaszewski?
This is a window, it's not the fire escape.
Correct.
He's lost his mind. I'm just going to step back, look around and see if there's anything that, for whatever reason, he may want to jump onto or is going to kill himself.
Peter, you hear what sounds like the window open. You hear it slide up inside the room.
Maybe he's letting the smoke out?
I don't know.
What did you?
I did a 15 on listen to, so logically, do I hear it?
You heard the mumbling as well. Yeah.
Do I need to
now
make a psychology roll to realize that he's about to jump?
No, it doesn't look like he's going to jump. It looks like he's trying to find a way to get the hell out of that room.
Okay.
I'll shout and say, "Hey, Randolph!"
That'll calm him.
Well, it'll either get him running.
You call up to him, and he's looking for to see if he can find a handy hold to scale out of the window. And when you yell up to him, he looks back down at you, and the sun is kind of hitting him in the face. And he puts his hand like that, And as he does, he loses his handy hold and he flips out the window, and you hear him yell loudly. Peter, you also hear him yell loudly as he tumbles out the window, falls 5 stories, and hits the pavement with a thud and a crunch and a splattering of blood. Horatio and Jacobus about 30 feet from where you're standing. Do a sanity roll.
Oh dear. Oh,
My goodness.
fail.
Fail.
It's 1d2. Peter, you hear the scream. What do you do? Peter and Eugene, what do you do?
Eugene, get the door. It shouldn't take much.
My scream's louder.
You want me to break the door?
Yeah. If there's any chance we can save him.
Okay, well, do I roll strength?
Roll strength.
Okay.
It's not much of a door. You can do it with a bonus dice.
Bonus dice?
Yeah.
Okay.
I lose 1 point of sanity and
45 on 40?
You want to spend some luck?
Yeah, a bit.
I can try to help.
Well, if the two of you try, I don't think that it would resist. All right, the door blasts. Okay. The door breaks open. Tomaszowski's apartment is a mess. Okay.
Surprise.
You smell the strong smell of incense. It's got somewhat of a pleasant smell, but at the same time, there's something very nasty in the smell.
Well, straight to the window first, because we don't know.
You look, you run, you sort of have to step over the garbage. You get to the window and you look out, and you see Tomaszowski's crumpled body down below with Horatio and Jacobus slowly approaching it. Eugene, do a spot hidden.
Oh.
Yeah, spot hidden.
Yeah. Out of fluffs, it's a miss.
I'm actually losing my lunch.
Yeah. Okay. You can do a constitution roll if you're losing your lunch, you're losing it. Eugene, you with your keen nose for French cuisine, there is definitely something rotting in this room. You don't know what it is immediately, but you can tell that there is something rotting in here, despite the incense. Peter, as you look around against one wall, in a kind of a clear spot on the refuse on the floor, you see this. It looks like a primitive sort of altar set up.
Very unsavory. I'm happy to see there's nothing obviously Indian looking. Do I recognize any of these symbols except from the pulp magazines?
Nope, looks like devil worship stuff.
Yeah.
As far as you're concerned.
Do the skulls look like human skulls, or are they clearly fake?
Yeah, they look like human skulls.
This was a very bad man. All right. Eugene, we should leave here within 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So that the authorities don't think we broke in and threw him out the window.
Something's rotting in there.
Everything's rotting in here. And that was a pig.
Jacobus, is he dead?
Jacobus is a little bit taken aback is not the word. I think so, Horatio. Are there any witnesses looking around?
Not at the moment, no.
This is bad for business, Horatio. We need to get out of here. I'll step closer and just bend down and do a quick check.
Okay. Do a spot hidden.
Right. No.
Okay.
No. I can see that he's dead.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can tell that his skull has been crushed when it hit the ground.
Yeah, I don't see much more than that.
Horatio, you can do a spot hidden as well.
I'm not really looking at his body. I'm too squeamish.
Okay.
Maybe with a
glance back.
How about if I know it's
do an intelligence roll then. No. Okay.
No.
All right, that's fine. Eugene, are you looking around for whatever it is that smells?
Fuck no.
Okay.
Fuck no, I'm just getting out of here as fast as possible, the kind of stuff.
All right. I think we have a couple of minutes. I mean, some people in this building, mostly housewives, will have heard him scream as he fell. But I think this neighborhood, the police take a few minutes to bother to answer a call.
They might not even have a phone in this building.
Right. It might be about going down to the phone on the street, the police box on the street.
Right.
And when the authorities do get here and see that he's got a couple of human skulls, they're not going to ask a lot more questions. But I'd like to see if there's anything here, anything Indian, and then maybe take a little piece of the incense so that I can share it with Bernard.
Okay.
If there's some that's unburnt.
All right. So you're looking around the room. Do a spot hidden for me.
77 is we just can't find anything. It's like,
well, you're pretty sure the smell is coming from the kitchen.
Oh, there's even a little attached kitchen. All right. Okay. What's in the icebox?
All right. In the icebox, when you open it, you're assaulted by the smell. There are animal body parts inside the refrigerator. You can do a sanity roll and a
Constitution
roll. Yeah, Eugene.
How did the police let him out? Okay, failed the sanity.
Just take 1 or 2 points of damage.
Aced the con.
Okay.
I entered with my handkerchief ready.
Okay.
More mercies.
Horatio and Jacobus, you notice somebody suddenly come to their window and look out. Do you guys want to hang around, or do you want to get the hell away, or what do you want to do?
Well, the good citizen in me wants to be concerned about this poor soul.
And at the moment, it looks like a suicide.
He fell from up there. Call the police.
All right, so somebody's going to call the police.
And then I'll Rachel, let's move. See if we can find the other two.
Yes.
All right, you're going to go into the building then.
We're going to go round to the front of the building.
We'll run to the front and see if Peter and Eugene comes down.
Okay. And as you're going around the front, you see somebody come out of the building and go to the police box on the corner and make a phone call to the police. Eugene and Peter, what do you do?
I already began to go down.
Okay, you're.
I think I'm about a flight behind you, Jean.
Okay. Well, before you leave the room, I'd like you both to do spot hidden.
Eventually, the dice will behave. There we are. 32 is regular.
66. 66. Spend one luck.
Okay.
Barely pass.
Eugene, one thing that you notice just before you leave is there's definitely a number of things that look like drug paraphernalia. a number of bottles, a number of containers that could be cocaine or laudanum or morphine or things like that. Maybe things that he's lifted from the hospital, except that they don't look like they're in official bottles, like hospital bottles. And then you're heading out the door. And Peter, as you are just about to step out the door and close it, you look over and something catches your eye in the kitchen as you glance back over there. It's something that up until this, it's been sitting there all this time. It's just your mind blanked it out because it's so familiar. But there's a basket of fruits and vegetables sitting on that counter that look extremely familiar. And that's where we will end it for this evening. Our players included Yusuf Gita, David Gasaway, Chris Van Wyk, and Simon. Simon Bienfier. With myself as keeper of the secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up private games. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. There's a link below. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.